Hello and welcome back to SnowRunner, y'all. Now in this video, we're going to be doing a little off-road adventure on what I believe is still one of the best maps that has honestly ever been added to this game. Now the map in question is of course Outback Overlanding, although you honestly probably knew that already, especially if you have played a lot of the off-road exploration focused SnowRunner mod maps. And yes, before you call me dumb in the comments, I was not aware that this didn't have a trailer hitch option. And so I was like, oh, I want to get myself an overlanding trailer. An overlanding trailer for this isn't really an option because there isn't a trailer hitch, which I sort of found out the hard way. But trailer hitch issues aside, I love this map so much, and I really felt like this vehicle was one of the best pairings that you could really have to take to this map, or rather if you're looking for one of the best vehicles to kind of give yourself an authentic experience on the Outback Overlanding map, this vehicle is probably one of the best options for you. And the vehicle, of course, being the Earth Traveler F71 by F19 Mods, of course, based on a 70 series Land Cruiser that has been upgraded, at least in the front, to look like a more modern 71 series. And if you are from the US and don't necessarily understand what these things are, or maybe you're looking at it and going, that's a Land Cruiser? Essentially, these were sold in just about every market except for the US market. So there are so many other Toyotas out there that we never got, sadly. And I say sadly because honestly, this would have been essentially your Toyota equivalent of, I mean, if we're relating it to something that we know very well in the American off-roading community, I mean, this is essentially your Toyota version of a Jeep XJ. And honestly, can we take a second to appreciate how cool that actually sounds? I mean, a Toyota version of a Jeep XJ with a factory-built Toyota diesel engine? And I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds like the best survival vehicle ever. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, you know, I would honestly love to have one of these as like an actual import, like go through the process of actually importing one of these. But that's more of a someday later on down the road project, because as a lot of these vehicles, I mean, even a lot of modern off-road vehicles move further and further to a lot of onboard technology, a lot of onboard systems that the vehicle relies on that could honestly leave you stranded if they break. It gives me a new appreciation for vehicles like this that are so incredibly simple because you have solid axles front and rear, you have a diesel inline-6 turbo engine that I'm sure is fairly simple to service, or at the very least if you have the parts on hand. And really, if you look at the interior, there's honestly not a whole lot else going on. It's very low complication and very low, honestly almost very low maintenance because, well, Toyota. And when you're out in the middle of nowhere, honestly, the last thing you want to have to worry about is some, you know, small issue ruining your trip. Now, this obstacle right here is one of the reasons why I love this map so much, and that's mainly because you deal with a lot of these like washed out, you know, hill climb obstacles that you would also see a lot of in real life. And I feel like so much of that is missing from a lot of SnowRunner maps, even the mod maps, because a lot of them either focus on dedicated rock crawling or they focus on trail riding, which tends to be a lot more tame. And I find that these maps, the Outback overlanding maps, strike such a wonderful balance between those two approaches that it always feels just challenging enough that you feel like you have to be on your toes, but it's also not so over the top that the only vehicles that can make it through are fully built buggies and crawlers. And that is, of course, not to say anything against fully built buggies and crawler vehicles. And if you like that sort of gameplay, absolutely more power to you. There's a lot of great maps out there for that. But maps like this, and especially maps in the Outback Overlanding series, are wonderful for when you have just a little bit of time and you honestly just want to go and experience some simulated overlanding with a little bit of extra challenge thrown in. And you know, I still can't get over how incredible of a match this map and this vehicle both are for each other, because honestly, they honestly just feel like they were built in conjunction. Like, it's like this vehicle was built for a map exactly like this. It's almost like it was tuned here. And that is, of course, not me saying at all that this vehicle was legitimately tuned on this map. I have honestly no idea where these vehicles were tuned, or rather the majority of the vehicles that F19 releases. However, God, they're such a good fit. They're such a good fit for this map just as a whole. And another thing that I find particularly interesting is how similar some of the Outback overlanding maps look, or rather how similar some of the obstacles and trails look to the Arizona trails in a lot of the trailers that we've seen for the upcoming Expeditions game. Now, once we're able to finally get our hands on the release build of Expeditions, we will definitely have to compare the way those trails look and feel in relation to the way the Outback overlanding trails here in SnowRunner both look and feel and play as well. However, who knows? I may be getting ahead of myself because obviously we don't have our hands on Expeditions just yet. Nobody really has their hands on Expeditions yet, apart from obviously the preview build, which y'all have already seen and heard my opinions on, as those videos have already gone out on the channel. However, if you haven't seen those, head over to my channel and type in Expeditions in the search box, and those videos should pop up if you would like to hear my first hands-on impressions of Expeditions, a MudRunner game. But back to where we left off, I find that also once the sun goes down and it starts raining, because you get a lot of like dusk rain on these maps, that adds again another level of immersion to really any adventure, but especially when you're making your way up through a lot of these, you know, massive wide washouts where you do actually have to stay on your toes, otherwise you will roll your vehicle pretty quickly. And I know that they don't look all that difficult, but trust me, if you let your vehicle bounce in the wrong direction, you will be rolling it, and you'll be rolling it pretty quick. And it also never fails that every time I come through here, it's always my favorite part of this map. It always has been my favorite part of this map, and I think it'll probably continue to be my favorite part because it looks so unassuming in terms of challenge factor and in terms of difficulty. However, and trust me when I say this, this map, or rather this section of this map, will absolutely bite you. And as you can see, let's just say I let my guard down for like a second, and it resulted in something like around 4, maybe 5 rollovers. So take it from me in that regard. These are a lot more intense than they look, and they're a lot more intense than a lot of people give them credit for, and not giving them credit for the intensity that they truly have. is honestly a mistake because you'll just keep flipping over. And of course, eventually, we get back up onto our tires and we're able to continue on. But I just cannot get over how incredibly involved a section that is so unassuming in terms of looks, like, can actually be. And if you do want to take on this adventure for yourself, make sure to check out the links in the description down below to the mod.io pages for all of the mods that were used in this video for both the map as well as the vehicle. And let me know in the comments down below if you have done this exact combo of map and vehicle before, or if you haven't, but maybe you're excited to. And that is going to do it for this video, y'all. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see y'all next time.